Can you make 10 million gold from this controversial secret strategy? In this video, we'll find out the truth. The TLDR is a big yes, but there are a lot of things you need to know which make it harder to pull off than it sounds. So, at the start of the War Within expansion, Blizzard changed everything so that items could be sent to different realms. And this created a new, secret, powerful strategy known as Crossrem Arbitrage. It is a simple but powerful idea. You are buying items on a realm at a low price and selling it on another realm at a high price. Now, I posted this concept on my Patreon when cross-realm servers were introduced, and everyone made a lot of gold with it, and I do mean a lot. Over time, things settled down a bit, of course. Like a lot of things, you can make the most money right at the start. This is one of the value propositions of my Patreon. You get to know about stuff like that when it's most valuable. Recently, the idea has become more popularized and mainstream. The video that drew my attention to this was by Kaichak, claiming to have made 10 million gold doing it. Is this bullshit? Let's find out. So I'm going to quickly show you how this strategy works in practice. We first look at the Undermine Exchange for some item. Now, I choose the Sky Golem here for various reasons. Firstly, it's an item which sells on the specific realm you sell it on, unlike things like enchants and consumables, which when you post them on the auction house are available on all realms. For this strategy to work, it needs to be something which sells only on a specific realm. I'm also choosing the Sky Golem because it has relatively high demand. It is very useful as herbalists can pick herbs without dismounting while using it. This makes it very distinct from things like transmog items, which only have cosmetic value. So now we find the realm where the item is cheapest and deposit enough gold into our warband. Flip open your spellbook, go to the General tab, open your warband bank, and make sure there is enough gold to cover the cost of the item you want to buy and the auction house fees for posting it. Then create a character you want on the realm where the item you want to buy is cheapest. If you don't have an auction house mount and a portable mailbox, you'll need to fly to your nearest auction house. Access your warband funds, as before, through your spellbook and General tab, and purchase the item you want. Put the item in your warband bank. Create another character on the realm you want to sell the item, and again, fly to your nearest auction house. Then open your warband bank again, and withdraw the item you want to sell, and also any amount of money you need to cover auction house fees. Now, just post the item on the auction house. Now, if this works and the item sells, you made the difference between the value of the item on the lower and higher priced realms. That can be a bleeding ton of gold. But hold on, that's the basic strategy, but it doesn't by any means tell the whole story, because very often the item won't sell. First, we need to know what the sell rate is of the item in question. The sell rate can be found on this Trade Skill Manager website here. In this case, the Sky Golem sells at the rate of 0.05. Now, most items which can only be sold on a specific realm have a sell rate of less than 0.05. A sell rate of 0.05 means that the item will sell one time in 20 postings. But that's just an average. In reality, there's a small chance it could sell the first time you put the item on the auction house. But there's also a tiny chance that it would take 78 postings or more before a sale. This is governed by a formula known as standard deviation. Additionally, we are trying to sell the item for a high price, and that means that even if the global average is 0.05, it is very likely less than that on the specific realm we are trying to sell it on. Higher prices equal lower demand equal lower sell rate. Realistically, with the lower sell rates most items have, this gets much worse. At the extreme end where the item you're selling has a 0.01 sell rate, then the guy who hits 3 negative standard deviations, that's a 0.3% chance. will post an item 400 times without getting a sale. The fees and the time wasted doing all these postings is really going to add up. Now you can see why gold makers like Hijack get a hard time from their audience, even though they're not saying anything actually untrue. But their critics aren't saying anything untrue either. Some of them are basically wasting time because they are having awful luck and are not being compensated for their time. So is there anything you can do about this? Absolutely, yes. The first and most important thing you can do is post multiple items at once. If you post 100 items at once, all with a 0.03% sell rate, you have a 97% chance of making at least one sale. You can also, and this is where this gets really creative and interesting, is find situations where demand is much higher than average. Now, the first thing I would recommend here is not to simply try and sell the item on a realm where it can be posted for the highest available price. If you think about that, it is usually going to be a low population realm, which is going to attract a disproportionate amount of arbitrageurs who will likely undercut you. Instead, look for mid to high population realms where there is still a significant price discrepancy and not too many of that item posted. That way you have a likely reasonable amount of demand for your item without too much in the way of competition. Good margin plus reliable volume plus manageable competition is the optimum formula for profit. You'd rather have a profit of 200% in 3 days than a 500% profit in 2 months. Now, thinking a bit more outside of the box, items which might be useful for player versus player combat are likely to sell on realms which have a PvP culture. WoW used to divide realms into PvE and PvP realms. It doesn't anymore, but the culture still survives on many former PvP realms. If you know which those are and target them effectively, you can get a much higher than average sell rate for PvP based items. Similarly, and this is much better known, roleplay realms disproportionately value roleplay items. High value items like dice, for example. Whilst faction-specific trading was abandoned in retail WoW long ago, you still have a large faction imbalance on many servers. So if you have an item which has appeal to one specific faction, you can exploit this. If you are selling bind on equip items for current tier content, make sure you target Tuesday and Wednesday when people are raiding. So ultimately this type of strategy does pay off, but it's an awful lot of work and it can be extremely frustrating. It certainly isn't for everybody. Most arbitrage strategies create the seductive illusion of certain profit, but in actuality the execution risk is significant.